So Nerf Nerd has sent me a new package. He has changed his name to Hobby Mods because he's kind of branching out and doing more stuff, but this is what has arrived, which is kind of cool. There's actually two Nerf Nerd brand Hobby Mods boxes in here, and we'll do one video on one of these things, but I'm not sure which one is which, so the rest of this video will be focusing on the Stryfe pieces that he has sent me, and I think I have chosen correctly, this being door number 1. And so inside here we have how he usually wraps things, and he does a great job. This is the Stryfe's foregrip, so this is an additional piece, and I asked him to make them in white because I think that that'll work really nicely on both a blue Stryfe and an OJ Stryfe. So this is cool. This is a white foregrip for a Stryfe, and then this should be a stock adapter for a Stryfe, which should also be very, very neat, and I'll get those installed on a Stryfe and kind of give you my thoughts on them as a kit. So the principle here, I guess, is to give the Stryfe the same option that the Alpha Trooper kit does, where you can just elongate this stock for all sorts of whatever you'd want it to, and then give it a nice foregrip, because the Stryfe is not a very comfortable blaster to shoulder once you add a stock to it. So I'm going to toss these onto a Stryfe and we can continue talking about them like that. So it is of note that the Stryfe does not have any holes in its back end, which is why the included screws are not flat at the end. They do in fact have a point, which means that you're going to be locking into this ABS plastic. Now that's a sacrifice that I am willing to make, so I think that it'll be really good to lock this piece on. I do like that the piece actually extends this battery back so that everything is going to line up flush as it's screwed into place. Hobby Mods has informed me that as you screw it in, you're going to hear a little bit of creak, which makes sense. That's just the plastic that he printed finally kind of settling in to its eventual stable form. So that should be no big problem, but I'm going to go ahead and lock this on, pick out a stock that I think will look great, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So I'm going to talk about the stock extension first, and then we'll cover the foregrip. The stock extension is absolutely sweet. If you're a taller nerfer, I am pretty tall, but I know a lot of HVZ players who are even taller than I am, so if you're tall, this is a must-have. I think that if you're going to use your Stryfe as a primary and not a sidearm, which in my definition I guess means that you're not holstering it down here, you really want it to be your shouldered weapon on a bandolier, the one that's in your hands all the time. I think that this is an absolutely necessary piece for that equation. I like using the Lightning Storm or the Super Soaker stocks. I think that they're a really sweet, almost AK style stock, and it's just very, very comfortable. It puts it where I want it to be. Without this, so that's 3 inches less, instead of being out here where I want my arms to be, I'm more right here, which is very close to my body even with the stock. So I think that this is an excellent extension, and it's just very, very solid. It's not going anywhere. It's really, like, all the warp here is in the stock, not the extender. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast with this molded ABS plastic as opposed to some of the printed stuff. But I think that that's very, very tight, and I enjoy using it a lot. Now let's talk about the grip. The grip is actually a really tight fit on the Stryfe. I put it on, and it doesn't want to come off right now, which is excellent. That you would almost need a tool to lodge in here and slip it off that way. But once it's on there, it is on there, and it's great. Instead of being up on your barrel like you would be otherwise, you're down here, which is closer to your clip. It means that this is a very natural motion, and I like that it's almost flush with the 6 clip. I think that that's really smooth. The 12 would come out further, but it makes the entire process of using the Stryfe feel much more like using a primary and less like using a secondary, which is what I felt like the Stryfe always was. It was kind of this semi-auto flywheel pistol, and this really takes full advantage of these platforms. It takes full advantage of this tactical rail, turns it into something really comfortable, really sweet. I have large hands, and wrapping around this is a little, I don't know, it could be a little bit larger, but I'm definitely fitting everything where I want it to be, so it's pretty comfy. And then this extension is just a dream. So the Stryfe is completely stock, so performance is pretty crummy. Stock Stryfes are terrible, in my opinion, not only because of the low performance in general, but also because of this this dart lock inside prevents you from firing quickly, which is the whole advantage to having a semi-auto flywheel platform. But as far as this kit goes, I think that the kit is aces. I've come to expect the best from Hobby Mods, which is what Oz Nerf Nerd is calling himself now. He's expanded his business, so he's not just doing Nerf. And I think that that's great that he's branching outwards, but for the purpose of continuity, this is Oz Nerf Nerd's Hobby Mods Stryfe kit, and that'll become clear as I continue working with him into the future. But I think that it's ultra sweet. I really like it a lot. Turns the Stryfe into what I like to call a Stryfle, which is adorable. As opposed to doing a full integration for a sweet stock like this, you could just buy this part and use a Super Soaker stock and you're right where you want it to be. So I feel like I've gone on and on and on. The last thing I want to talk about is colors. I had him print mine in white just because I think that white goes well with the OJ Stryfe and the blue In-Strike Stryfe. I think that they both have white accenting, so as opposed to sticking with one of the primary colors here, like an orange would blend very nicely through this and here, but a blue would blend very nicely with that one. I wanted it to be versatile so that I could use it on whichever platform I felt like, and I think that that's what this truly accomplishes. It's very, very, very nice. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. That's been my review of the Stryfle kit, which is not what he calls it.